back to the This Week in MeteorJS podcast. This week we're going over stories, and more stories. So, stories drive our episode today. Starting at the front end, there's the latest updates on Storybook to the whole stack, and we'll talk a little bit about what we did this week with the road to 3.0 and the episode that the two Jan brothers ran, on their own together there. And while we don't have Kelly Clarkson singing us stories, we do have Kelly Copley to spill on the work that he's done on his atmospheric clone. I think calling it a clone is actually doing it a little bit of disservice, but we'll get to that. And that's what I've got. All this and more on This Week in MeteorJS. You are watching or listening to is this the 13th episode that we're
Something
on now?
like that. I stopped counting after like the first 10.
Yeah, the 13th episode of This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly news segment of the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast. I'm your host, Alim Gafar in New York City.
I'm Jan Dvorak, aka Storyteller CZ in Prague, Czechia.
And I'm Jan Küster from Germany.
Okay, and excuse me. And so normally what we do at this point is we head into the feedback. We are making a small change to our format going forward starting today, which is we are going to be heading straight on into the news and picking up the feedback section towards the end where we can spend a little more time in discussion. And so with that, I want to remind you to like, share, and subscribe if you are finding some value in it. Hopefully, if this is your first time to the channel, please continue on and stay with us all the way through the end. We have a lot of exciting stuff to talk to you about this week. And on top of that, if you are a returning viewer and you have missed some of the episodes, please go back to the channel, take a look at the playlist, and watch those episodes that you might have missed. You might find something very interesting and useful that will work out towards helping you. And so I'm sorry about that, guys. Seems like I stepped on my tongue again today. And with that, I am going to turn this over to my friend Jan Küster, who will open our news.
Thank you. No worries. Today I start the news with also a very bending topic. Nearly all of us face, and it's from one time or another. That's about schemas and validation. And if you currently struggle with these whole schema packages out there, there are many things to choose: ZOD, JSON schema, Meteor check, simple schema, whatever is out there. And you still don't know what to use, then this is maybe highly interesting for you. That's the new package, Jam Easy Schema. And the great thing about its premise is that it's all integrated, what Simple Schema and Collection 2 basically does. So it's not only about defining schemas for validating data, but also automatically attaching this to the DB, because MongoDB supports JSON schema out of the box. And this is very interesting. So this is definitely a no-brainer for anyone who does not have any schema validation right now set up. But it's not the only package here from Jam. It's also another package, and that is Jam Method. And both of them together are actually like superpowers. So this Jam Method package is an easy way to create media methods, as you already maybe have known from validated method, but it's a little bit different design. It's not the same like with mix-ins and all that stuff. And it brings many interesting features out of the box. So you should definitely check that out. And what I think is the most important here is it's working with multiple different schemas. So it's working with simple schema, check, ZOD, Jam, easy schema, and so on. You can write your custom validations. So these both are some kind of an ecosystem here. And this is definitely a topic you should check out, and also give response if there's something you still need, or there's something that's not working with your stuff. I mean, these packages are very young, they're very in early stages, so this is where maintainers and developers need feedback from people using it. So this is something worth to check out for every one of us. And with that, I leave it here, and you should check it out, and I give it to the next point.
Yeah,
So,
this kind of
Jan, I was going to say, by the way, it sounds like you really want us to check it out.
I want you to check it out, because the struggle is real. I mean, I'm coming from simple schema. I'm also still figuring out how we can make AutoForm simple schema free. Just a little teaser here, but it is still undecided. And I wanted to migrate to simple schema 3, which basically dropped this whole Meteor integration with tracker and all that stuff. And the problem was that I wanted it to be a Meteor community package, but it didn't work out so well. So I was really excited to read that and see that there are actually completely different approaches on this whole schema topic from a perspective I even didn't think about. So this is why I'm so excited, and this is why people should definitely check it out.
All right, so Jam with Jam. And by the way,
Yes.
User Jam, thank you so much for the work that you've done, and it's great to see community members adding new things that take care of old problems to the space here with their packages.
Yeah, this also reminds me of there used to be something similar, like actually not when it comes to the methods, but more on the database side or like collection side, that was more advanced than our collection 2 and all that stuff. Maybe the chat can help me remember. And that is, I remember it was also like some space, maybe Constellation, but I'm not entirely sure. But in the end, could say when that came out, and collection 2 in the end won out. So this in a way kind of reminds me of that project that is more integrated, has more functions, so kind of very interesting from that perspective. But that's a different story. Speaking of stories, there's this project called Storybook, which another story probably for another time, also originated from Meteor. But for a while we had a problem, and probably still have that one. If you kind of create stories, or for example in React, and you have Meteor hooks inside that component, your stories are not going to work well. There is a potential fix for that, and that's from Mike King from Australia, and he has created a Storybook stubs. For those who don't know, stubs are kind of like a dummy functions that simulate as if Meteor was there, and but actually it's just like a function that always returns the same thing, or just makes the dependencies happy, and it so that you can kind of work that particular component outside of the Meteor context. So he has published his stubs and all that stuff. And if you use Storybooks, I would highly recommend to give it a try, so that you can put more of your components into Storybooks and have more testing and visualization. Personally, for myself, I would also like to in the future expand this to kind of have more Meteor specific functionality testing, but that's again a story for another time. So if you use Storybooks, this I think is a must for you. And that brings us to another ongoing story that Jan is going to talk more about.
Yeah. I first, before going into that, I just wanted to say hi to Mike, because I think we didn't had the chance to talk to him since the Impact. I think that was the last time we talked with him. It was a very nice talk. We hang out in the rooms, and just want to say hi. Hope you're watching this, or maybe watching this soon. and maybe we get in touch one more time for a talk here on the podcast, because I mean Mike has also been, I don't know, one of the earlier people in the forums or in the community, so he's very long there and did a lot of stuff as well. I think he was running a Meteor shop in Australia as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Really good.
So coming from there, there is, when we're talking about the forums, there is another topic on the forums that might be something that is still relevant to many people wanting to use Material UI. And that is the problem that Material UI is, when you just include it, it blows up your whole client-side bundle. And I'm personally very concerned about client-side bundle sizes, wrote an article on that some time ago. And my suggestion is always use dynamic import and try to wrap everything so you can scale up your code. But there are also other solutions proposed here. So you might check out this article if this is something that might help you. The problem is that during this whole discussion, we found out, oh my God, dynamic import might not be the solution for everyone. Maybe someone has the constraint that they can't use dynamic import because it also includes unsafe eval to the as a requirement, and this is problematic from the perspective of the content security policy. And here's the problem: we found out that dynamic import is so hardwired to Meteor that I immediately tried to open a pull request, and it's not that easy. So if somebody may help me with that, would be awesome. It should solve some more other problems as well. So this is as you can see, some topics are sometimes very intertwined and they can become complex. And again, going back to this material UI thing, if you still struggle with material UI, or you intend to use it, because I mean it's a great library, definitely, you should check out and join the discussion there. Maybe somebody has interesting things to say, or other critique, or other experience, and maybe we can solve this together, because I think supporting Material UI is something that Meteor should definitely be capable of, right?
Absolutely. Go
I
ahead.
would also kind of like on this kind of point people to this forum thread, because I think it also covers like not just like dynamic import, but I think other strategies as well. This is a good starting point. So if you're struggling with the client bundle size, and if you don't know about client bundle size, then you should definitely check that out to see how you're doing. If you're hosting on Galaxy, it actually will tell you in the version tracker what is your bundle size for client, and actually, and less important, what's also your bundle size on the server, which is going to be sometimes some interesting facts. And this impacts how fast your application loads, especially initially. So Let's go to our next story.
Yeah, so if you guys have been looking with sharp eyes around the forums lately, you might have noticed that there's been a post that Fred popped up, not too long ago. And it seems like little elves have been working behind the scenes to try to unify the code of conduct that we have across all of the Meteor properties. And what I mean by that is that how we engage and how we participate in the forums, on the Slack, and in GitHub. There has been some inconsistencies in terms of the guidance that is given in one forum versus another. So what they've done is they've unified that across the board. They've based it on the JavaScript Foundation Code of Conduct, and this is, I think, going to be make it a little easier for people to be able to understand what's acceptable, what's not acceptable in terms of participation, and how we include others in our discussion in a way that is civil and fair. So I think this is good. And there is a body of folks who are responsible. Most of them are from the Meteor software company that are responsible for monitoring and looking in on things. And when I say monitoring, I mean it's if something comes to their attention, they'll look at it. I don't think anybody's going to be spending a lot of time there. And I'm getting a signal from the others that I've also been asked to help out with this. And again, it's one of those things where I'm if you're interested in what my role is, it's no different than my role right now on the forums, where I'm an administrator. And if I see spam coming in from somebody that's using a bot, I remove it. And if I see a conversation that's heading a certain way, I try to cool it down. And that's about it. Make sure that everybody's having a good experience in the different forums. So if you guys have any questions on that while we talk about it, be happy to take them. But yeah, it's really not going to be much of a change other than the fact that everything is consistent now, and there should be less confusion about what applies.
All right. To that, I'm happy that this is at least unified, no matter anything else. I've also noticed that this is based on the contributor covenant version 2, even though there is version 2.1. So I'm kind of worrying if there is migration plan to go to 2.1, since we are doing all the migrations. And
migrations everywhere, all the time.
Yes.
Migrations 24/7.
Speaking of that, let me jump onto our updates from Meteor. And I just before this, I've got some pretty good news, especially when it comes to release 2.14. And we'll have, right now we are on beta 1. We'll have beta 2 most likely on Monday. And what is the beta 2 going to include? Well, first of all, it will have removal of underscore from many packages. Many thanks to Harry Adel, who has been pushing this for quite a while, all these PRs. You will also notice that the repository is about 20 PRs lighter after that, which is pretty cool. And I was informed that in total, it's the entire, I think, release is altering 31 packages because of this. Wow. So that is kind of interesting. The ultimate goal, which will probably not be happening for at least a few more releases, is to completely remove underscore from the Meteor packages, and then you can just get the npm package itself directly. But so that's kind of like the very, let's say, long migration, and that's going on in the Meteor itself. Good news is that this next beta is also going to include the long-awaited Cordova Android and Cordova iOS upgrade. So if you have been having issue with Play Stores and all that stuff, definitely keep an eye on Monday, Tuesday if the beta 2 is out. And once it is, get it, test that the new Cordova integration works, so that we can move to a full release as soon as possible. So that's for 2.14. And on the Meteor 3 front, we have Alpha 18 with 5 PRs merge and other bug fixes. Most notable, let's see, first one here is the connect cleanup from Felipe, which has to do with the connect to Express migration. Some fixes, and then, which I like, or which is very interesting and will help a lot in migration, is from Zothern to allow some old build plugins to run in Meteor 3, which will fix issues with Zothern TypeScript types. So that's kind of the, I would say, highlights. And I would like to also point out or point you to a official discussion on the repository titled "What's Left Until an Official Meteor 3.0," which lists all the different things that are being worked on or that need to be finished before we can get things done. So I can actually check this out here already. That's, as you can see. So Blaze has will be a major version. You can see from alpha version, we have only one task to do. And then we are moving off to beta stages, which is, I think, where we are start seeing more involvement from community packages, trying to get up to date, and everything should be a little bit more stable, at least until we kind of get all the way to the release candidate stages, which is where you will see me here going, screaming that everybody should start testing things out.
That's terrific. I think at one point or another, I would love for you to explain a little more about what distinguishes an alpha release from a beta release, but we're deep into time right now, so I think we need to move on and bring our guest aboard this week. And our guest, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm going to pass this back to Storyteller to introduce his friend.
Yes, so I would like everybody to meet Kelly Copley, who is the author of the Socialize packages, and also one of the founding members of Meteor Community Packages organization on GitHub. But Kelly, I think the best is if you kind of introduce yourself again. So as is kind of the dread question on these interviews or podcasts, who are you? What do you do?
So I'm Kelly. I started with Meteor probably around 0.5. Been developing with Meteor in some aspect ever since. Did the Socialize packages as well as a project called Pacosphere, which is a sort of a clone of Atmosphere. Uses the peer library Meteor packages package to sort of mirror the Meteor package repositories and make it easily searchable. Originally created that because I was dissatisfied with the fact that Atmosphere was closed source and you couldn't add anything to it. It was so it was originally created by the same team that created Meteorite. So and they kept it closed source up until the time that it was handed over to Meteor and Meteor development group, and they never open sourced it at all. So I figured I would go ahead and create something that the community could look into and add features to, things like that. So that's how that started.
That's terrific, and we're really happy to have it. As a matter of fact, I mean, when we say clone, I think you're doing a little bit of a disservice because it actually has features in it and capabilities that Atmosphere doesn't in terms of searching and filtering, right? So you want to talk about a few of those?
Yeah. I mean, so it's pretty limited at this point, but it does provide more selectivity and easier discoverability for Meteor packages. There's a couple other features. So you can go back through versions and look at their documentation. It also sort of warns you if there's it's a sort of an outdated package. So it'll give you a warning there if it's been a while. Yeah. And so, there are some extra features. Could be a lot more if there was more time and more involvement, but honestly, right now I personally like it a lot more than Atmosphere, just because I can sort of find things that have been more updated recently. So
Sure. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, and I've used them both. I happen to be leaning more lately towards Packosphere just because it's got those filtering capabilities. It allows me to limit the set on a search to very specific items that I care about, and then also be able to look at the history and kind of figure out like what are the changes that have been made in between versions. So if I haven't been really up to date as to what's happened recently, I can get a good sense of it. So I like that a lot. I think that, as you said, that there's room to grow on this in terms of additional filtering capabilities and data enhancements. And I'd like to know whether or not you're interested in getting PRs, and if you're interested in growing the team on this to have others that might want to work on Packosphere.
yeah, I mean, the nice thing about it is that anybody can add to it, and there's a whole host of people who are part of the community packages organization that can move this forward, even if I were to get hit by a bus tomorrow. So
No, don't. Yeah.
I'll try not to, but
Okay. Yeah, and I guess Storyteller is pulling up the GitHub repo in the meantime, in the background there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, I interrupted you, Kelly. I apologize. So you were saying about getting involved.
So I mean, there's probably 100 different things that could be added to this, and I personally, I think the design could probably be updated and made to be more user friendly, probably things like that, more information added. I would personally like to see the ability to for authors to go in and maybe sort of edit things, but the problem with that is that there's no way, because of the way that Meteor accounts work, there's no way for me to see who owns the package. So, but it would be nice to be able to, like, for an author to go in and say, flag it as, this is, no longer maintained, or, things like that, updated information. But we'd probably have to like get with Meteor and like get them to allow access for certain features or whatever. But there's a lot that could be added to this.
Sure.
We could even, like, at one point I thought about making it so that it could send notifications, like say you have a project that uses certain packages, so you could get notifications when those packages are updated and things like that. There's a lot that could be done with this.
Sure. Yeah, it sounds exciting, and it sounds like a great place where if you're creative and you're a good problem solver and you want to help out and find a project that's worthwhile, that's pretty visible, this is one of them. And also, if you haven't used Packosphere yet, what are you waiting for? Go give it a try. See, and do a comparison. See how you like it against Atmosphere. And maybe what we're doing is also putting a shot in the arm of Atmosphere's, project, and saying, hey, you're a little behind here. You might want to do an update. But honestly, I think Packosphere as a competing project is super useful, super great. It's very responsive, the app.
Well, that's another thing with it is, so as a community project, this, like, if Atmosphere doesn't go anywhere, at least we can move things forward, and the Meteor team isn't, stuck trying to update, another project on the side. They can focus on what they're good at. So
other things with limited resources.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Kelly, thank you so much for your contribution. Does anybody else from the team want to pop in here and ask Kelly any questions before we say have a good weekend to him?
I would also know, do you have any other hidden secret plannings you're about to do in the next weeks, months, or something? Any surprises?
I can't promise anything. There's there's things that I would like to work on. Unfortunately, time is limited, but there are. So I've spoken with a gentleman, Evan Broder, and he has a project on GitHub called Jolly Roger, and he has some very unique code that's not available to the community that allows TypeScript, type-safe access to data in Meteor, and so publications and queries and collections, and so it's something that I would like to, and I have permission from him to sort of move it out of that application and into packages, but it's just, it's a time issue. So, but I think once that, like, we could accomplish that, it would be a huge thing for the type safe side of Meteor.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like this, I've seen from time to time that you're into TypeScript very much, and so this is still a part of Meteor that needs constant care, right?
Yes, and honestly, I think TypeScript is probably one of the things that, if we don't focus on it as a community, will hold Meteor back, because the whole JavaScript ecosystem is sort of moving in that direction. And if we can't have type safety, then I don't think that, like, large corporations will move towards adoption. So
yeah, I think for bigger companies, bigger projects, this is already a no-brainer today, right?
Absolutely, yes, because like for large code bases, type safety is almost absolutely essential. And like when you're refactoring a large project, it just makes everything so much simpler.
We have a comment from Daniel here. I can't read the whole thing from my point of view, but can you guys see it on the screen?
Yes, this is, Daniel saying, could be a really good project to add a resource to community packages convention effort coming up. And I think what he is speaking here about is mostly what we've discussed previously on the forums, is maybe to Packosphere to add like an indicator if the package is Meteor 3.0 compatible or not. So, pull requests are welcome, I guess.
Yeah, Daniel, your idea. Come on, brother. Put that pull request in.
But I think before that we have to discuss more stuff. But yeah, Alan,
sure,
go ahead.
No, so Storyteller, do you want to add anything or ask Kelly anything before we move on?
Kelly, where can people find you? Do you have GitHub sponsorship? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I have GitHub sponsorship. That's I wouldn't say that's a priority. But you can find me on GitHub under Copley KJ, just about anywhere on the internet. If you Google my handle, you'll find me somewhere. Twitter.
Let me just put it here. So yes, if you like what Kelly is doing and would like to see more of his work, please consider sponsoring him. Or following him on the other social media. Thank you very much, Kelly. I hope to have you here sometime again.
All right, guys.
See you later. Kelly. It was good seeing you.
Yep.
Take care.
Bye.
See you.
All right. And let's move on here now. We're I think we're at our shout outs, aren't we? So what are we shouting out? We had our first deep dive on Tuesday. Was an executive overview and of the road to 3.0, and so I think that was a pretty awesome first start. So that's our shout out in terms of that project, and the recording is on the channel, and if you go there You'll be able to find it either in the Deep Dive channel or the Road to 3.0 channel, or it's also on the front page itself of the YouTube channel. So you can watch the recording of it. And so far, I think it's gotten some pretty good responses, and pretty happy with that. By the way, if you are finding any of this useful, interesting, and you want us to continue, please, please, please hit that subscribe button, like the episode, and join us in the comments and the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
And
also, if you are watching this after our live session, if you have question, if you have ideas, comments, please comment. That we'll get to it on the next show, and it also helps us in the algorithms as well.
Yeah, we read all of them, so that's a good thing. And Storyteller, you've got some news about your continued involvement on YouTube here with Meteor. What's going on?
So Meteor decided to give me a small sponsorship in exchange to do some content. So I decided that I'm going to use this as kind of like a small starting base and start a regular Monday show, which will be starting this upcoming Monday at 4 p.m. Central European Standard Time. I'll be going like usually for hour and a half, 2 hours, or maybe longer, depending on what it is. Right now, I'm committed to have 2 episodes a month about MeteorJS, and then the rest of the month shows will be either to topics kind of close to MeteorJS or other technical topics, or pretty much or something alongside what I'm doing. So you can expect me to do stuff like I did a few weeks back with Gabriel Gruba, where we just go over pull requests and give feedback on all that stuff. And it's kind of experiment to see where this can go or not. We shall see in a few months. And also at the end of the show, or like the second half, my sponsors will get the opportunity to join me and talk to me live there on the show. So that's another point to get your sponsorship. And on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'll be doing kind of like a free flow streams. And it will be, just, if I'm too tired, I'll just be playing game and chatting with you. If I'm feeling that I want to do something, I'll be doing that and chatting on different topics. It will be free flow. It will be nothing will be prepared at all. And it will be just, what comes, that happens. So that's all that's happening. So I think, I will go ahead.
I was going to ask you, in terms of your format on Monday, so let's just focus on the Monday show for a minute. Are you going to have occasional guests, or are you going to have regular guests? What can we expect?
So, thanks to the sponsorship or partnership, you could say a little bit with Meteor Software, you can expect that, for example, Gabriel Gruba is going to be a recurring guest.
Okay.
Potentially other people from Meteor Software as well. I hope Alim and Jan that you join me occasionally as well. And but it's not a rule. I will try to have guests as much as possible to make it interesting. At least, well, I won't say at least, but I will kind of try out different formats. This is very much experimental to see what works best, what doesn't work best, and all that stuff.
Sticks? Yeah.
I'm especially excited about having my sponsors to come in, and we can then discuss the problems they are having or other Meteor-related or not related topics. So
is this an exclusive Meteor sponsorship, or can other people sponsor this program also?
Everybody can sponsor me. This is not exclusive. The only thing that I have made promise with Meteor Software is that I will dedicate 2 shows per month specifically to Meteor.
That's terrific.
Which, for me, it was like, I wanted to do that anyway. So
exactly.
Now this allowed me to do it sooner than I was originally planning. So as anybody who is sponsoring me, they will get a link before the show or during the show and they will be able then to come on, and we can have discussions about different topics.
One other thing I just want to point out is you mentioned your times in Central European time zones. So for those of us on the other side of the ocean, I think relatively in New York, it's a 6-hour difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're 6 hours earlier than you. So when your show goes on at 4, that's 10 a.m. in New York.
Yeah.
And your Wednesday show, when that goes on at 6, would be noon in New York. So if that helps orient and give you a sense of when
Yes.
Storyteller is going to be on, I hope that's useful.
Yes. One little note to that: it's subject to change also depending on my travels, but I'll try to kind of keep up to these times as much as possible. Or if, for example, if I suddenly get a lot of sponsors from Americas, then I might move it later, or like create another one that will be better suited for the time zone.
And these live events will be available as recordings afterwards if people
Yes.
want to. Okay.
With the occasional exception of the Wednesday free flow stream, that will depend on how Twitch will handle some of it,
Right.
and I still have to figure it out. That eventually, hopefully, once I get enough, say, money, I will be buying my StreamYard subscription, so it can be both on YouTube and Twitch and all that stuff.
Terrific. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much on that. I think we're moving over next to our deep dives and hot topics, and there is a Blaze panel that is planned. I'm not sure if that is a hot topic or a deep dive. So, can somebody clear that up for me, please?
I can clear up that for you. That's a deep dive into a hot topic, and oh, really? Because Blaze has been the front-end engine of Meteor since its beginnings. It's basically baked into Meteor, and it's also often considered by some people left behind, but we already talked about that a few episodes ago, that it's now a little bit different again. And so there is also the question still, what's the future of Blaze? And this will be a big part of the whole Blaze panel, where interesting people with the Blaze background will meet and discuss all that, bringing their views, opinions, but also experiences into the whole discussion. And then we hopefully finally get something out of it for everyone. And this will be on the 28th of November. And the concrete time announcement will be next week. So please tune in next week, so you will definitely know when this is going to happen. And this is also a little bit related to the deep dive we will do in terms of our Meteor 3.0 deep dive series. So there will also be a deep dive into Blaze beginning of December. And this will also cover some of the more recent async topics as well. And I will team up with Storyteller, and we will try to make the best out of it from a special project I will prepare for that. So stay tuned. It will be interesting and fun, definitely.
So in that episode, there will probably be some code walkthroughs, is what you're implying?
Mm-hmm. The thing is here, there are things to consider in terms of concept, because Blaze has a certain concept. It is much different from React, which is why it's interesting to have a Storyteller in this session, because his background is much more React focused. And so I will a little bit talk about this whole Blaze conceptual thing, but enrich this with code examples, and also try to merge this whole 3.0 migration topic into this as well. So we're brewing the next magic drink, and hopefully you will have superpowers after that, right?
Indeed. Oh, Alan, forgot to mute.
I was saying, yeah, I need a magic drink. I was saying magic drinks are always a good thing in the world of Meteor. They may make things a little mysterious, but often they give you these superpowers that allow you to do amazing things.
Yeah, I still advocate for Blaze because it is actually still, to me, one of the best front ends to integrate anything in there. So, which is why it has already some kind of a magical power. And I hope that people who are not into Blaze may get a peek and how it's working, and also maybe some edge cases and how they are working, and why I still think it's a great front end.
And I think that's the whole idea behind the deep dives, right? Is to really kind of uncover the layers of the onion and give people a real insight into how things work in Meteor, so that they have more confidence when they're building applications about what's going on when the magic happens. So that's really, really terrific. Thank you so much. At this point, we would head into the feedback, but we got no significant feedback that we want to talk about. I think Storyteller might have had an idea of something that you might have wanted to bring up before, but I don't know if that's the case right now. Storyteller?
Not yet. That's fine.
Okie dokie. And with that, I just want to, remind you guys, we are still looking for more subscribers. We hit the 100 about a week plus ago, and thank you so much, everybody that has subscribed to the channel and is become a loyal follower and shows up each week with us. Really appreciate that. We're trying to get to a small army of community members that we can have talk to each other, work with each other, do interesting things with each other with Meteor, share their love of the technology and what they know and what they've learned, so that we all grow together. And so our new goal right now is to try to get to 500 as quickly as we can, and we hope with your help that we will get there. So thank you again for joining us and being with us. Like, share, and subscribe as much as you can. And also remember our intrepid community developers who work very hard on this platform, work very hard on building tools and libraries and packages that we can all benefit from. And two of our members here are also folks who have GitHub sponsorships. As I have said before, they do the work on their time and on their dime. They don't work for companies that actually give them time. They are working. Well, Jan, you are working at the university, but university is not really sponsoring you to do open source development. And
only partially, only when it's related to the projects I'm doing.
Right. So if you can help them out by demonstrating through a sponsorship that you appreciate their work, they know that what they're doing is valuable, and they can go forward with it. And Storyteller is an independent software developer who spends a ton of time, too much time, I think, but he loves this technology, so he spends his time on it. So, show some appreciation. Buy him a cup of coffee. All right. And with that, what's coming up next week?
So next week, beside my Monday stream, we'll have another show on Friday. And
I think it's surveys, right?
Yeah.
Survey says, right?
That's what we are looking for. Yes, indeed. And I cannot say much more because we are still waiting for a few confirmations. So we have to kind of see what's going to come out of it.
Keep it quiet. But there's coming next week. We are talking surveys. We're talking about what you guys are talking about. When I say you, it's Meteor community and JavaScript community and others that are out there, developers basically having their opinions, sharing their thoughts, and on the tooling and the development environment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we will look forward to seeing you all next week. Other than that, have a great weekend, guys.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Have a great weekend.
Okay.